In today's video, we are going to be editing this set of super photos. We had a really fun Fast and Furious shoot. I'm going to show you guys how I get these color tones and how I quickly and easily edit all of these tones across my whole set of photos. There's some really fun tricks I can show you guys that make it really fast and efficient for you. So we're going to start by editing this photo so you guys can see all of the settings I use, and then I'll show you how I edit the whole entire set, because I'm sure you guys are like me. You don't just take one photo on a shoot, you take multiple and you want them to look similar. So we're going to do that in today's video. Let's dive in. Let's bring the screen a little closer so you guys can get a better look. I'm going to go really quickly through how I'm going to edit this photo. If you guys want more details on this, I have tons of editing tutorials on my channel. You can go check them out up here. So we're going to start by making sure we have all of our highlights. This is a pretty flat photo, so we don't have to worry about that too much. My shadows, I'm going to bring up because I want to bring up details in the wheels, in the front grille there, those kinds of things. Then the whites, we're going to move up until they kind of make that car pop. And the blacks, I always hold Option on my keyboard, drag those down. And once you start to see black there, we're starting to crush our blacks, meaning no detail. So I'm going to bring that down to about there so we can still see some detail. Then I like to dehaze just a touch. I know some people like clarity. I'm not a huge clarity guy, so we're just going to leave that at neutral. Then I'm going to start playing around with the saturation a bit. I tend to like muted colors and then bring those colors back in the different color panels, which we will get to shortly. Down to tone curve, I know I'm moving quick. We're going to see what works best here. It looks like if I bring the highlights down in the top right third, we're getting a lot of nice colors in the car. Let's see what we do if we put a mid-tone point. Popping that doesn't look great, so we're just going to bring that down a bit. And then in our shadows down on the bottom left, let's see what happens here. Bringing that down adds some nice contrast, so we're going to do that as well. Now we're going to pop maybe the mids back up and see what that does. There we go. Adds a nice little pop into the orange there. Now the coolest thing about this shoot was that we had a really bright, beautiful orange car, and I knew when I was shooting it that I wanted to get color contrast with this car and add some blue tones into the edit to help that orange stick out. And I'll show you what I mean here. First, I want to desaturate some of the yellows because I don't think it's going to impact the car too much. If you see in my HSL color mixer, I'm desaturating the yellow here. And mostly why I'm doing that is I don't want you to look up at the yellow lines here, and I don't really want to Photoshop them either. You can if you want, go for it. Then we're going to see if we pop the orange here, what that looks like. Looking really, really good. And then we are going to maybe go to the luminance and see if we pump that up a bit. Yeah, it looks still natural. So we're going to do that, but we're not going to mess too much with the HSL because I think it looks pretty good so far. What I really want to show you guys though is in the color grading. This is how we're going to get that color contrast. So I'm going to go into the shadows here, and you can either drag this little dot here to wherever you want, and this is how you can add really interesting color tones into your photo without kind of impacting the saturation of like any of the colors in there. One thing I love to do is drag this to around the 220 mark, or you can fiddle with whatever looks good to your eye, but I tend to like around the 220, and then we can mess with the saturation a bit there too. So I'm going to have it highly saturated just so you guys can see what I'm doing. And then from there, you can change the balance to move towards the shadows or the highlights. So you change the highlights here. Let's say we push these up towards the oranges and have some added color contrast. Contrast meaning separation in highlights, lowlights, or separation in colors. We're on opposite ends of the spectrum. So by adding orange in the highlights and maybe blue in the shadows, that is color contrast. We already have tons of orange in the photo, so I don't need to change a whole lot of that. I'm going to dial this way back. But then we're going to go into our shadows and we're going to move this to the left. And so you can see that that's adding it's adding blue into the cement part of it, which is helping our orange stick out. Now, I'm not loving how that sits yet, so I'm going to actually do a bit of contrast and see what this looks like if we add back some more details. So this is where we're at so far. So far it's looking pretty good, and we're getting that color contrast, and I'm really just trying to make that orange car pop off your screen. That's the goal here. All right, so there is kind of our color look. So what I want to do now is just kind of finish the editing process here. We'll add a little bit of sharpening, some masking onto the sharpening. I'm holding Option there to see what I'm sharpening. Now I'm going to add a couple of masks to this image just to help draw attention. If I hit M, we're going to get a linear gradient mask. I'm going to pull that up over the car. We're going to drag the exposure down, and then up in the masking panel, we're going to hit Subtract, select subject, so that that subject isn't being brought down in exposure as well. So that looks pretty good to me. What we can also do here is we can create a new mask, select subject. It's going to pick the car, does a pretty good job, and then we can help boost that car up even more. This is looking pretty good. Hopefully if you guys are scrolling on Instagram and you saw this, it would stop you in your tracks just a little. That's the hope, right? Have something pop there. Okay. So we have all of our settings. Now what we want to do is we want to copy these settings across our set. Now there's some things we might want and some things we might not want. Now I'm going to teach you two different ways that you can do this. One is incredibly fast and the other is also fast, but you can be more selective. So what you can do is you can click on the photo that you're editing, hit Command C or copy, and then you're going to get this copy settings. So we can say what settings we want to copy. Now we're going to do almost everything. We aren't going to click on crop. We're going to click most things. One thing you want to do here, you can pick if you want to pick your masking. I'm going to pick them, and then we're going to see how that works across, because the masking that I did is using AI, and typically I use these masks on almost every photo anyway. So we're going to see how that looks. So we're going to copy those settings. Now the first way you can do it is you could just go to each photo and you can hit Command V or paste, and then you're going to just go in and adjust for this particular photo and maybe just adjust some of the details, but you get what I mean. At this point, we're getting all the same color tones across, which is really nice. So again, we can just hit Command V. We're getting those similar color tones. The second method is really quick to get all of your photos looking similar. So if you have the colors and the light kind of exposed the way you want, you can click on the photo that you've edited, then hold Shift and click across all the photos that you want to look the same. And then over here in the bottom right corner, you're going to see sync. We can click that sync. We're going to get that same setting up there. We can say, maybe let's not copy the masks over this time, but we definitely want the rest. So we're going to hit synchronize, and then that's going to paste those settings across your entire set. So if there's settings like your curves you want, your colors you want, then you can make sure to synchronize that all the way across. Then when you get into editing some of these photos, it already looks pretty good, and then you just have to go and dial in the exposure for that photo and maybe some of the masking that will be particular to that photo. If you guys like editing car photos, then I have made a preset pack that is super unique and custom tailored just for automotive photographers. What's really cool about it is that it's not a pre-baked preset that has certain colors and light. You can actually start to customize your presets. Let me show you what I mean. Let me reset this actually. In the light panel, you can adjust things like just your lighting. So we're gonna hit car interior here, and you can see it just affects the lighting. You can adjust the exposure, and now we can come down to the curves panel, and we are adjusting just the curves. So let's say we use just a little love there, and you can see what that's doing just to the curves. If we wanted to change to a different curves, all we have to do is come to nothing crazy or haze attack, and it's going to give you a different curve. So this saves you a ton of time, and it's so fun to use. Let's use contrasty fade. And as well, I know that these preferences tend to be more personal, but you have a bunch of different color options. So this Keep Your Cool gets us pretty close to the edit we did today, or My Kind of Blue BRZ. And then of course you can adjust those colors up here using the amount slider. So super fun to use. I've also got sharpening options. You can darken the lower, you can add a whole bunch of stuff. It's super fun and it's customizable, and it's not like a pre-baked cookie. You know, if you don't like chocolate chip cookie, well, I'm just gonna give you the flour and the butter and the chocolate chips, and you can make your own preset. Super fun. I loved making this for you guys. So check it out. I'll leave the link down in the description below. There's always a sale on my website. I really appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully you guys learned something from today. If you want to support the channel, go check out those presets and LUTs that we've got. Love you guys. Hope you're doing well. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.